Well, how's it going, Ken?
Great, man.
Awesome. I'm so glad you're able to come by and do this in person. I mean, I've been trying to do these a lot more in person lately. I just recorded with Sarah yesterday, and it's a learning experience for me just to be able to learn how to talk to people, even with a camera in front of me. It's for some reason a lot more pressure than just talking to people normally, and that's why I did this, because that's what I always do, is talk to people about film normally. So
It's definitely an interviewer type situation. It is different.
yeah. I've had to turn my interviewer mode on. But anyway, glad you could be here. Everybody, this is Ken Elliot. I'll let him take over from there and just talk a little bit about your company and what you do in film.
Sure. Thanks for having me. Glad to be here. I own Lynx Productions. It's a basically almost an all-inclusive sound production company. I do a little bit of everything from voiceover, ADR, sound design, working on trying to get a Foley stage. And it's been a long road to get here. Originally wanted to be an actor. I don't know if you even knew that.
Wow, no, I think you might have mentioned that when we first met, but I totally forgot. I view you as the sound guy in Charleston.
I wanted to act, and then, life happens. And just for example, your generation, back when I was in LA 20 something years ago, the internet still wasn't really a thing. So you had to buy these backstage magazines and stuff like that to find casting calls, where now you can do it at home, self-tape type situation.
Yeah.
So anyway, life happened. I grew up and didn't really pursue that. I just did some community theater and whatnot while I had my professional career. And then when I moved to Alabama several years ago, it kind of was close enough to Atlanta to do a little bit. It's so hard. Like my one big role, when they called me and I was cast as the lead, they didn't tell me I had no lines. I was out of focus. I mean, basically I was an extra, it was pitched to me as the lead of the episode, but more or less just an extra.
Yeah.
And then I happened to hear somebody at the job I had at the time talking about people making money doing voiceover or something. And I played guitar and did a little bit of singing, so I had a microphone and a little bit of equipment. So I started researching it and, started kind of incorporating what I'd learned through acting and transferring it over to voice acting and the recording process and equipment, microphones, DAWs, or recording software. And went from that to, literally not knowing anything to narrating audiobooks. There's animated comic books that I handle. I went from voicing a character to now I cast and direct all the voices that are done in English. Ended up overseeing dubbing a film from Spanish to English. I cast the talent and had to make sure, by the time they got the film, they dropped one file in, and all the dialogue was lined up to the lip movements and all of that sort of thing.
How'd you get involved in that?
That was a client that I did some dubbing work for internet commercials. It's funny, I didn't realize this was a thing, but sometimes they'll film commercials in Eastern Europe or perhaps India, where they speak English when they film on set, but they don't actually speak very good English. So the first several projects I did with him was dubbing these characters, matching their lip movements in English to take it from sounding like, someone from Russia or East Germany to sounding American.
Yeah.
And started there, did the film with them, which honestly, I have no idea where it was released in the English dub. I wish I could find it, but it's probably peddled on the street corner somewhere. But that was actually the same client where we met doing ADR for the Bollywood film.
Yeah.
Which was a the largest budget film I've worked with so far.
Yeah.
In which case, Noah and some other folks, we had to reenact crowds, anything from the cheering of the fans in the stands to the football players on the sideline. I think there was even a tea party or something where we had people scattered around the room just kind of murmuring quietly, all the way up to replacing some of the actors' lines. We did a couple of those too, I think. So
nice. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I got to meet so many people that day that are amazing actors and voice people in Charleston. I think I saw that job posting on Facebook, and that's how we got connected, which is funny because I found that Facebook is actually one of the best places to get connected with people and find jobs. Just joining Facebook groups and following Facebook pages of people in your area, like I've gotten so much work from doing that.
I've, matter of fact, that's where I've gotten most of mine, especially in the beginning.
Yeah.
Was Facebook, like a voiceover job group. And the other client that I have is called River Comics app. It's audio comic books with some animation, lots of different stories. I kind of fibbed a little bit. I'm the type of person that learns from putting myself in a situation I can't get out of.
Yeah.
So I actually volunteered to do all the casting and handle all the dialogue direction. No, I'd never done it before. And they agreed to it. And that was about 4 years ago, and I'm still doing it. So
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And so how do you get connected with some of those clients other than Facebook? Like even for the Bollywood film, like is that where you find people of them putting out job postings, or do they reach out to you through your website and know of you?
Mostly through Facebook or LinkedIn.
Yeah.
The Bollywood film, I had actually gotten that client years ago on Facebook as well.
Yeah.
Facebook and LinkedIn is where I found most of my work.
Yeah.
I did Fiverr in the beginning for voice stuff, not really film related, but Fiverr in the beginning.
Yeah, I've heard Fiverr is good for voice stuff, or even smaller things like doing graphic design. But I haven't had too much luck with film on Fiverr.
I don't know how film editing, which I would see editing being the ideal thing to be able to do on Fiverr.
Yeah.
I posted my services there quite a bit for editing, but I kept getting outbid by these people who would want to do these 3-minute sizzle edits for like $5, and I'm like, I don't understand why how that business model works to be able to do that, because for me, that's hours of work, if not 2 days,
I mean, you're probably getting outbid on by people that live in areas where $5 goes a lot further than it does here.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's something I encountered too. I mean, whenever COVID hit, everybody was at home and I'd see YouTube videos, and I'd have been at it a year or two at that point. And I'd see these YouTube instructional videos on how you could make all this money from home doing voiceover. And, you can, but not as easily as what people were peddling at.
Yeah.
So now, at that point in time, I noticed sort of an influx of competition because they're willing to do it for $5 whenever, I generally going to charge more than that depending on what the role is, but
yeah.
Well,
with what you do, it's a lot more in depth, right? It's not just voiceover. I mean, you take care of doing all the professional recording in a nice studio to even the sound design aspect of it. So you're pretty much full service when it comes to post audio.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, my roots were in voice acting because that's where I started, and just keep learning things over time, and that's where I feel like I'm at right now.
Nice. Well, how has this whole strike situation kind of affected you? Has it been all right, since a lot of projects that you work on are in post production that then you're still able to do, or have you found things kind of halted?
So far, it hasn't affected me.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff that I do is either international or indie related.
Mm.
So, yeah, it hasn't really slowed down for me right now. Now, as I'm trying to grow, I've been trying to get more bigger budget films,
Yeah.
bigger budget projects, but now, everything's kind of on hiatus. So it's going to make cause a little bit of a delay for pursuing those, I think.
Yeah, but it's great. It's a great time to be an independent filmmaker.
Absolutely.
And you and I have gotten to work on a few sets now that are lower budget but independent shorts that are still a whole bunch of fun to work on, and you're still able to put food on the table. And so you've been doing some on-set audio too.
Yeah, I've started doing that recently.
Yeah.
And I've got the whole boom mic. Well, I've had the microphone for a while because it's actually pretty handy.
Yeah.
Especially for Foley and such. But yeah, I got the boom pole and the blimp, and I got my little, Zoom DR70D or whatever it is.
You're fully kitted out.
Yeah, got 2 wireless lavs. So yeah, any basic setup I have.
Yeah.
And of course I can handle all the cleanup and editing afterwards. But yeah, did a project with you, like a week or 2 ago we did one.
Mm-hmm.
There's another project I'm on. I'm kind of, I guess you would say, sound supervisor. I didn't handle the boom, but I was on set making sure, double checking, helping plan the microphone placements and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just knowing, I'm sure, even giving the director a couple of little notes, like, if, I know you'd rather not do it this way, but if we could do it this way, it'll help the audio in post. Nothing like actors stepping on each other's lines and trying to separate that out.
Yeah.
Especially male and female with 2 different frequency ranges, So,
yeah, women have a lot more softer voices, and so I bet learning how to adjust different mics and making sure everything's even on set, even though it is easy to fix up in post. I mean, you'd rather have something substantial to work with, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, for me, the fuller the range of frequencies you can capture, and women have a higher pitch frequency, men tend to be on the lower frequency side.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fuller range of the frequencies you can get, the better, especially without reverb, which is reverb so much nicer to add than to have to try to figure out how to take away,
Right.
So, and as I've been diving into that more too, it's surprising. We all have this one frequency that just sounds terrible, and it's different for everybody.
Mm.
And whenever you can get in there and just, fine tune which frequency you're turning up, and you'll hear it. You'll know it when you hear it.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
What is your preferred editing software? What's your favorite?
For audio?
Really anything, but yeah.
I am a DaVinci guy.
Yeah?
Yeah. I can't do everything I like to do in audio in DaVinci, so I throw it over in Pro Tools or Audacity.
Mm.
Like, I know it's funny. Audacity's free, all right? But
yeah,
whenever you cut your teeth on it and really delve into it over a couple of years, like, there's a lot you can do with that free software.
Yeah.
And if I don't know how to do it in Pro Tools yet, I'm just going to throw it over there and do it because, yes, I'm learning, but sometimes you don't have time to keep learning.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if the tools work for you, it doesn't matter if the result's just as good. So,
but I do like DaVinci though, because you can, I think an AAC file, you can switch between Pro Tools and DaVinci, and it's the same thing. It has all your tracks, your audio tracks, and the video. So I mean, it's really no different, other than Pro Tools has more tools for adjusting EQ and
and doing
filtering and stuff out.
Yeah, I think Pro Tools is probably my favorite software out of anything related to post production. Just it kind of speaks to my brain a little bit, the way the track layout kind of works. And I just feel like I can just move around it a lot easier. And I just know how to really streamline the process to get through whatever audio I'm doing. But I've just found it's super also fascinating, the different plugins that you can do for it. There was a while there, like all last summer, that I was really getting into different plugins for Pro Tools where you can do spatial audio and you can do ambisonic sound, and it's mainly used for like virtual tours or 3D tours, anything with like, say, like an Oculus headset, where you can actually like locate sound in 3D space, and so it moves with your head. And there's a lot of really cool things that Pro Tools can do once you start adding in all those plugins. So
yeah, I'm gonna have to probably pick your brain on a couple things from time to time on Pro Tools. But
yeah,
I like Fairlight and DaVinci. To me is just pretty user friendly, especially if you're doing dubbing or ADR. To me, all you got to do is click on the ADR thing. I think there's a tab that's ADR, and then you can select if you want the countdown and mark where you want it to start, and it's just 3, 2, 1, and it'll start recording. For me, Pro Tools was a little bit more intricate in setting up if you want the beeps and all that sort of thing to count you in. But
yeah. I'm not sure if Audacity or your other programs have the destructive punch feature, but it is so cool that you can build a singular file and you can just punch into it and record over it, but the file remains the same. You don't have to record and export the entire movie. You can just punch in, even if you're just adding one small sound effect to that same file, and it just updates it without having to generate more and more.
Yeah, Audacity, definitely not. Audacity's, you can't use that for dubbing or anything like that. It won't even allow you to put a picture in there. But I want to say, and I'm not 100% sure, that the Fairlight feature in DaVinci lets you do that too.
Yeah. So when I first met you when we were doing that session, it's so funny. I don't know if I've told you this, but you were using a specific accent for the movie, and I think you were like trying to stay in character and keep it going up. I thought that's how you talked. I didn't know where you were from or anything like that. And when you started switching back to American, I was just genuinely very confused. And then I kind of caught on like what you were doing like for the film. But I guess that just speaks to how well you can do that, switching on and off.
Thank you
for what you do. So how many different voices have you done? I'm sure hundreds.
I actually do one. Well, I've done several. I've done several video games. Right now, I'm in development for a series called Wash and Dryer, where I'm a Detective Wash. He's kind of washed up. He smokes cigars for breakfast, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
He's from Chicago, but he ended up in Miami, and somehow his partner's a freaking dryer, like literally a dryer that talks. I don't get it. That's one of my favorite ones. I've done a while back, and people still ask me to do it. I can't do it anymore. The little lady from the Incredibles movie.
Yeah.
Darling.
Yeah.
I actually got hired. I don't know if they were with Disney or doing something for Disney for some training video where I actually did. I cannot remember her name, but I did that character for some sort of training video or something.
Okay, cool.
Which was kind of neat. Somewhere out there's a video game at an arcade that you win tickets at, where I'm just like, yeah, let's play another round.
That's awesome.
I think in River Comics, I voice probably 30 or 40 different characters through all their different series. Everything from Russian bad guy to the hero who has the great clean voice and speaks correctly, Yeah, man.
That's so cool. That's a talent that I definitely don't have. How do you like differentiate those in your brain and compartmentalize it, like, and not do the same one for your 30th character?
I don't know. I think it just depends. Like, and I'm not gonna lie, I may have done the same voice a time or two.
Sure. Well, you look at shows like Rick and Morty, and those guys, you could tell when they're doing the same, when it's the same person sometimes doing the same character.
There's tricks you could do to change it up, but for Detective Wash is actually another character in an audiobook that I narrated, just because I actually did the character for the audiobook first. And then when that role came along, it went from a New York accent to a Chicago. And not that I could really explain the difference, but there is a difference. So I had to sit down and listen to Chicagans talk for a while. Blues Brothers helps. But yeah, so I take the same tone, but then give it a different accent. Accents. Apparently, I'm okay. I feel like I have that imposter syndrome a lot of times, but I may or may not have pretended to be Swedish for an audition and landed a Husqvarna commercial one time.
Oh my gosh!
So,
well, if you sound the part, why does it matter?
I mean, they believed it, so I'm like, if you believe it, that's fine with me. I've even done Turkish. Don't ask me how. I had to sit for like 20 minutes and listen to Turkish people talk, and then I did a Turkish role. I got that too. I don't even remember what it was in.
Yeah.
But it's just, I guess I grew up doing it. My dad always did it, and that's why whenever I started, it's like I spent all this time trying to get on camera or whatever, and yet my face and my voice have never been on TV at the same time.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
My face has been on HBO, Discovery Channel, stuff like that. My voice, I don't even know where the commercials have been for some of those, but
sure,
never both of them at the same time.
Wow, that's crazy interesting. And you would think that with acting, people would want more diverse voices from, I mean, even the same person to cast in anything that they need, right? Like, because you could play a Russian guy, you could play whatever you want.
I've never got to audition for Russian. That's the problem.
Yeah. You have to fly over to Russia and just...
Perhaps, and then you don't speak the language.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're allowed to do that right now anyway.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Who is somebody that you kind of look up to with voice acting, or anybody you take inspiration from?
Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
For sure. Mel Blanc. Dude woke up from a coma talking like Bugs Bunny, I mean, he did like all of those voices. And then Mark Hamill plays the Joker. Like, Mark, if you happen to see this and you retire, please throw my name out there, because the Joker is like, I want that role.
Yeah.
I've done my own version of One Bad Day a couple times. I haven't had the guts to put it out there yet, but
sure.
And then Chucky and all the stuff Mark Hamill's done is just crazy. But the Joker, I mean, he's had that. How long have you been doing that now? Like 30 years?
Comment below, Mark. Comment.
30 years, Mark Hamill? Like, I loved you, man. As Luke Skywalker, my hero, but hang it up, bro. Let one of us have a shot.
Isn't it crazy how he went from like such a hero to a villain?
Mm-hmm.
I just think that's so funny that he was looked at as such a heroic person, and then he now has such a raspy voice that is just only, I feel like, good for a character like that,
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't just a hero. I mean, he was Luke Skywalker, And I don't remember how old I was when I found out, because he was doing it for the cartoons when it came out, the first Batman cartoons, right? He played Joker. Yeah. I don't know how many episodes I watched before I noticed his name as the voice of the Joker, and I was like, "No, not my Luke Skywalker," But
just in disbelief.
Yeah, it's like crazy. And then I don't know if I had this conversation with you, Ron Perlman. I listened to his book, I can never remember if it's biography or autobiography. I think I might have been talking to you when I said it. But he actually supported himself doing voice acting for a long time because, you know, when he first started, his agent told him, "You're not going to get work till you're like in your 50s because that's how your face looks. You're a mature looking person." And he didn't. He worked as the Beast on the Beauty and the Beast show. Uh, I forget the name of the movie. Everything he did up until his 40s or 50s was prosthetics.
Mm.
But he did voices for video game characters and stuff like that. So
Yeah. I'm curious where Hellboy falls into that, if that's what you're talking about.
he, that was, I think, right about the time he started to make the transition from doing all the prosthetic stuff to actually showing his face.
Yeah. Well, he's got a great voice for doing voice acting, so that makes a lot of sense. It's really deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those deep voices are just, there's something about it. You can't get there.
Yeah.
Like the last couple of days of my voice, I got something going on with my voice. So I've been riding around the car, Optimus Prime, trying to see if I could take advantage of it, you know?
Yeah.
It's Optimus Prime. Autobots, roll out, you know, something like that. But it sounded better when my voice was worse. But yeah, you know, there's so many different ways you can approach a character when you're doing a voice work. It's if you could see the character, that already helps. You know, I've done anything from pinching my nose to holding one of my lips or pulling my cheek out, or, you know, just depending on what the character is and how many characters I'm trying to do for the same project where I have to have them sound different, you know.
Yeah.
But it's definitely fun, and it's different than, I'm not going to say I am a great on-camera actor. We don't know. But it's a different
I don't know
process.
if you guys just heard that, but there's some insane thunder going on out there, and it's like the brightest, nicest day out. So if you hear that in the background, that's what that is.
Yeah, you're not losing your mind.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. I bet there's a million different ways that you can change your voice. Yeah, I can't say that I've ever really tried doing that, but I've done a bunch of crowd work over the past couple of years as just kind of more of a background voice. So
it's funny how most people don't even think about how, when you watch a show, that crowd that you hear in the film or on the TV was actually done in a studio. It's usually not the crowd that was on set.
Like most of the audio that you watch in a movie was not actually done with that. Like I'm thankful that now, actually I don't know if I'm thankful that I pick up on ADR because then it kind of takes it out for me, but I know how to spot it now. And I'll just be like, wow, that line was added in there to help the story transition to the next scene just last minute. And it's just ever so slightly different, but it's noticeable to me. But things like ADR, like the crowd work, Foley even, that's a whole nother conversation, you know? Every single little sound of the cloth movement on your shirt even is just done in a studio. And
it's exaggerated so much more than it is in real life, you know? But they take it to the extreme, and then you can just adjust it to where it's just right.
How do you feel about doing Foley? Do you find it fun or interesting?
I do. I've been, to kind of get practicing, to get going, I was taking really old public domain films and just wiping out the audio and re-recording everything.
Yeah, I've done that. Yeah.
So I've got, you know, I really like it. I mean, I'll take the dialogue out of these just so I can make it all sound good. Or you can't really separate it anyway, you know.
Yeah.
But I'll replace the dialogue myself, and then, man, just sitting there and coming up with different sounds and you know, what you see is not what you're actually hearing. Like coming up with different things to replace that sound or make that sound. It's just the creative process behind it is fun for me. Yeah. And same with sound design, where like my biggest personal project that I've done was my attempt at a podcast. where I'm taking spaceship sounds and, trying to put the right reverb on footsteps and, try to make it 100% immersive through audio only. And
Oh, wow.
I could sit there. I think I worked on that for 2 or 3 days. It's an 8-minute segment.
Yeah.
And I probably spent 2 or 3 days on it. And I could probably go back and spend another 2 or 3 days. It's just, I love doing it. Like, I get this hyper focus, and it's like, no, I want that sound to be just a tad more to the left or just a little louder. One more sound in there. Let's fill it up. Yeah. And it's something I didn't even know I enjoyed doing until I kind of started dabbling. And then it just kind of grew from there.
Now you're making me want to go do that. I used to kind of practice and do exercises like that where it would only be audio and you try to tell a story through that. Mm-hmm. But they would only ever be like 30 seconds to a minute. So I can't imagine doing an 8-minute one. But I remember this one that I did in film school that we just had this one specific library to use, and there was this man running through the woods, and he ducks behind cover, and you hear dogs barking and footsteps walking by, and then it just starts raining and thundering, and it's just you can make it as immersive as your creativity will let you, and that's what's fun about it. It's just creating this whole world out of sounds. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, I had a friend of mine. He's a voice actor and an actor, and he had done an indie film with some guys, and just for fun of it, I couldn't get the original stems and everything, but I'm like, do you guys mind if I just kind of play around with it? Mm-hmm. And I think I might have shown him one clip. I don't know if I ever even sent it back to him, but in my opinion, I'm not knocking anything that they did.
Sure.
But I was able to take a scene in the kitchen, and they didn't have the time and the budget to do a lot of this.
Yeah.
So there wasn't, it was the guy himself. He didn't live in this world by himself, but that's all you could ever hear was him. Mm. And so, I decided to add just some real faint cars driving by from time to time, because he's in his house. Who doesn't sit in their house and hear something outside? And some dogs barking, just some stuff like that. And then when he was at a park, put a crowd off screen, far off to the right, but you can hear like there's other people at the park, not just him completely alone. And it makes the world bigger.
Sure.
And that's just fun.
Yeah. Kind of going back to Foley, I feel like it just is as much of a exercise in being creative. I feel like I've used some really weird things to make sounds that you would never even think of. Is there anything that comes to mind that you've ever used to make a certain sound?
A sliding glass door, but not as a sliding glass door, slowing it down, lowering the pitch, and giving it this rumbling sound, like nice. It sounds massive, but it's like, just your door there. Mm-hmm. Drills, like changing their pitch and speed, making like a roaring sound of a dragon or whatever.
Sure.
I don't know if that's really too weird in the world of Foley,
yeah, but I feel like, most people wouldn't think that.
Right.
Watching House of Dragon and really some guys using a drill in a tiny little closet,
It's funny. That lady actually has something from her dog mixed in.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she did. I don't remember what sound it was her dog made, but her dog is in the sounds of all the dragons. The sound designer did that. Yeah, I thought that was a pretty neat little. Like, yeah, I want to do that too. Come here.
Is it? She probably has just like a tiny little Yorkie.
It probably is. I don't remember if she said what kind it was. I hope it was.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be some massive
yeah, because that doesn't doesn't make it cool anymore.
Yeah, the story is less fun though.
Yeah,
for sure.
But no, I feel like once you start doing it, everywhere I go, when I just open up a door and I hear it creak a little bit, I'm just like, wait, how can I record that?
You can.
Yes, you can. You can.
And it, I'm working on expanding my own personal library. You know, there's all the subscriptions you can get, but I do want to have. I have my own sound library, and just every so often grab something, and not only do you get that sound, but what could you do with the creaking of a door? I mean, we could probably modify that into some sort of little bug or monster or something, you know.
Yeah, it's way more rewarding doing it yourself
Mhm.
and putting in that creative effort. I feel like.
I agree.
Yeah.
And it's like I try to avoid using sound library like subscriptions.
Yeah.
I actually probably use it more for music because I'm not a composer, so I can't get called as anything on that. But
Sometimes things are lower budget, and you
oh
don't,
yeah,
or you know, in your case, luckily you have spaces and tools to do that. But you know, those resources are out there for people who
Mhm.
maybe aren't that far into their journey with doing sound work. So
and don't be afraid to modify those either.
mm-hmm.
I mean, you can take a pre-recorded something out of a sound library and turn it into something else too. Just if you don't have your own drill, I bet you can find a drill on there. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah. Is there anything that you have coming up that you want to promote and talk about?
um, right now, I'm associate producer on a film that's going to be released next year. The Third Party. It's a political drama. Um, that's about the. There's another one we're in pre-production and in development on another.
Cool.
But I don't want to get too into detail on those. Now, Wash and Dryer is still in kind of being shopped around. I think they have their own TikTok, so if you want to look up the Wash and Dryer show, you're more than welcome to do that too.
Yeah, there you go. Do you know where they can check that out on TikTok?
Wash and Dryer show, I believe, is
Wash and Dryer show.
yeah. Or it's on Instagram too. Wash and Dryer show.
Cool. Yeah, I've seen a couple clips of it, and it looks fun. It looks funny.
It is. I really, really hope that somebody picks it up because, of course, right now I don't know if they can. I don't remember how the animation thing works, but yeah, I would love for that one to get picked up. Just because I've done, all those little clips, and I mean, this is something we started. He's contacted me a couple years ago, so this is something that I've grown throughout this process, as well as him growing throughout the process. And yeah, I mean, it's options right now, so we'll see what happens.
How is the sound process for you doing that? Because do some projects take a few years? Some may just be, a weekend recording session, or does it just kind of vary?
It varies. I mean, whenever it depends on the project for sure. Like for whenever I dubbed the entire film, I think that took 2 to 3 weeks. That was for me to cast it, get it approved, get them to record it, and for me to sit and pick which takes work best and matched up the best. As far as sound design, most of the projects I've done have been on the shorter side anyway. So it kind of just depends on budget and how long it's going to take,
Do they bring you on after the film is already wrapped production, or?
So far,
yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Except for the one I'm working on right now, where I was brought on as an associate producer as well as sound supervisor.
So you're able to be on set.
So I'm able to be on there the whole process.
That is so much better for your product in general, as having the same team, if they know how to do both through the whole process. So
absolutely,
yeah.
And hopefully, the sound recordist that we used, I think he's gonna probably come back and work with us again. He did really good. So
cool.
James, I can't remember his last name. I didn't want to say his first name and not remember his last name, but James did a real good job. Cool. So we're excited about it. I mean, I've got a few projects of my own I'm trying to get put together. Because I love doing sound, but my ultimate goal is to kind of produce and create content. So
yeah. Do you have any passion projects that you want to talk about that
Um,
you foresee yourself kind of producing in the future?
One day, there's a sci-fi series that I've written a pilot for. I have the Bible for probably the first 3 episodes. That's what I did the podcast on, just trying to get some ears
Okay.
and interest. It's very, what's the word I've been told? Uh,
Heavy on production costs,
Yeah.
like just because
there's a nicer term for it
Yeah.
that we use, and I cannot think of what it is right now. But yeah, basically it's like, yeah, it's great. I love it. It's going to be too expensive, and you're not going to get it made.
the project scope is pretty big because it's in space, right? So
Yeah, I mean it's set in space. Well, not in space, but on a different planet, basically, or moon. And it's essentially a prison. The entire moon's the prison, and the main character he has implants. They kind of give him a little bit special power, and they weren't removed because there's a reason for him being there. And, I don't want to give away the whole story, but
Sure.
but yeah, it's definitely very ambitious.
There you go.
That's the word I've been given, ambitious.
Yeah.
So, but with the advancements of Unreal Engine and the whole volume process, maybe in a few years,
Yeah.
it'll be a little bit easier to do without as large of a budget.
More accessible.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen some people do some really creative things with projectors and TVs and just kind of cheating the camera a little bit.
I think, you and I have discussed a little bit, it'd be nice to have an LED wall and doing projectors like what we've seen some people do. But at the same time, the green screen feature in Unreal Engine ain't too shabby either,
Yeah.
You could get on a green screen studio and just put that world up there, as long as you got to do all that technical stuff that I don't quite grasp. But,
Yeah, that's a whole nother realm of
Yeah.
video production, right?
but it's cool. Oh man, it's cool.
It's very cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I learned what I can when I can.
Same.
But that's why they have professionals in so many different jobs in video production. It's crazy how far that this industry reaches from corner to corner of different skills that people need to have. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I've been on sets where it's 3 people, the director, a sound guy, and a makeup artist, all the way up to multi-million-dollar TV shows with people, I don't even know what they do. They got somebody that tells you to make sure you put the right trash in the right can, and
yeah,
they sit around and read books. I don't know why. I'm sure there's something going on there.
there's always people sleeping.
There is,
Like
yeah.
I've taken a couple of naps on set. I won't lie, but
Well, as actors and background, and
Yeah.
that's kind of expected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's just so crazy how massive. You can make a quality product with a handful of people, and you can make a really quality product with hundreds of people. And it's just like whatever the project needs, I guess.
sure.
It just amazes me every time.
Yeah. What's one of the most random gigs that you've ever taken?
One of the most random.
If you can think about it. Yeah, I've taken some pretty odd jobs here and there. Just like tiny one-day things that, makes you a little bit of cash.
I know one, probably the most random one I passed up on, but
Yeah,
Right.
that's fine.
well, I was voicing an advertisement for a certain adult website.
Okay, there you go.
It paid really well too. I didn't go for it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they need voice actors too, man.
I know, but I was just like, I'm not gonna cause any trouble, And it was just an advertisement,
Yeah.
but what it was advertising, I guess.
Sure. Yeah, that's funny.
But no, I do voice messages for people. It's not really that random, but you wouldn't think of it.
For like individual people or like companies?
Companies I've done it for individuals.
Really? It's just you that responds?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
The most random one I did was this guy gave me his phone number as well as his codes and everything to punch in on his phone for me to call his phone and set up his voicemail for him.
Yeah.
Because I think from what I heard in the voicemail that I replaced, he had a foreign accent. So he wanted, for his business, he was, I think, a contractor.
Okay.
So basically, I called up and like, yeah, this is such contracting, da da da, and I'd hit the button to save it or whatever and hang up. And then he'd email me, no, I want you to do it like this, or so I'd do it 2 or 3 times. But that was kind of weird. I've never had to call someone's personal phone number with their code to get into their voicemail and stuff before.
Yeah. Wow.
Usually, I just record it and send them an MP3 or whatever. But that was weird. Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot of trust. Just
On his part, absolutely.
Yeah, you could
I
have said
wouldn't do
anything
that.
you wanted.
I might change the code and leave a crazy voicemail. You never know. But
yeah, that's funny. I don't know if I have anything quite as wild as that. I did years and years and years ago this one Oculus commercial where I wore the headset and I got tons of cameras and a whole crew around me that just like took me to different locations and just got B-roll form of me. And I thought it was going to be used in some sort of commercial. And maybe they did, and I never saw it. And I didn't hear anything from them. I never got sent anything. And it was 5 years later, which would have been like this would have been just a couple months ago. I got sent a still of it from a different friend in the industry, and I was like, wait, that's from that time I did that Oculus thing. And I was like, where did you get this? Like, I haven't even seen this yet. Like, how did you find this? And he sent me a link to a stock footage website, and I'm all over like the Oculus like stock footage, tons of different clips, and I was like, I didn't know I was going to be used as a stock. Maybe that was written somewhere small in the contract. Yeah, I don't know, but I was all over that, and I wish I would have seen it earlier because I would have asked them to take it down because I looked absolutely awful. Like, you cannot look good with a giant computer on your face, okay? Like, it is so hard to look presentable. I mean, they got that strap going down the middle. My hair was out to both sides. Like, I don't know why they put it up here.
Did they even have a game or anything on it, or was it blank?
Oh, no, I was playing games. I had the time of my life doing it.
So you're like...
Yeah, and I got paid, so whatever.
Yeah.
Probably not as much as they're making selling my stock.
Probably not.
Footage, but... yeah, I was having a ton of fun. I think that was one of the first times I used an Oculus, and so I was doing, the super hot thing and the drawing, and I don't know. I guess they thought it looked good because they didn't tell me otherwise, but I sure didn't think I looked good.
I wouldn't. Yeah, I can imagine my hair sticking out crazy like, and it does half the time anyway.
Yeah.
Yesterday I tried to take a picture. I had a sore throat, so I was trying to take a picture of my throat so I could look to see if I had strep throat or something.
Yeah.
And the picture that I got, I deleted immediately. I can't even reenact how ridiculous I looked in that picture. And it's just like, whoop, that never needs to exist. But
that's funny.
It is what it is.
That put it on the ultra wide lens and just stick it down your throat.
Yeah.
Just see what you can see. That's funny. Well, cool. I don't know if I have any other questions for you. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
Man, I feel like I've given you my whole life story almost.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I hope anybody listening got some sort of education, knowledge out of this, some insight into a different side of the industry. If you're looking to get involved in audio work at all, there's some great resources that I can link down below. Definitely check out, Ken and his company, Linked Productions, and if you need any services, he's the guy to go to.
Thanks for having me, Noel.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
Absolutely. What's your website? Linkproductions.com.
Linkproductions.com. LINKT. Linked Productions.